Thank you. And invocation today is with Alex Hodge.
Thank you, President John. So please join me in a quick word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this group of Rotarians and for the worldwide Rotary family. Just pray that you bless our work in this community and beyond. And we also pray today that you bless our Rotary District Governor, Richard, and his wife, Robin, throughout their year of service. And just so thankful for their time that they're giving to Rotary. We pray for our firefighters' safety, and we just thank you so much for all their hard work on our behalf. We think about them daily as the smoke rolls in and out of the valley here and beyond, but we're so thankful for all of them. We pray for all those affected by Hurricane Ida this week and also its post-tropical storm that went further up east. And we just pray for all those affected during that. And we also pray for our current and former military during this challenging time as well. And we just thank them for all their service and protection, both recently and in the past and in the future, Lord. And finally, we ask that you bless this meal and our conversations and acts of service, both during and after this meeting today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Today we have one visiting Rotarian, and that is Elliot Reese from Southwest. Elliot? There. Welcome. And it's always possible to transfer your membership to, having no shame. Last week, in my usual fashion of forgetting something, I forgot that we have a red badge to present to Trevor Green. And so Trevor was here and ready to present and to accept his red badge. I forgot. Today, I have the blue badge and no Trevor, I don't think. But he is eligible. And so he gets a third reading of this next week. So anyway, he will be getting his blue badge. Also available for you today is, and if I could have my able assistant, Vanna White, also known as John Cooper, we have, as we have traditionally have, Seahawks posters. You can choose your own person on the front. You either get Ashley, or you can have Tyler, or I think there's some other bloke here, Jordan, and there may be others. I don't know. Eric would know. But the whole idea is that we want to get these out into the community and support our almost local team. So anyway, they are available on the way out. Pick them up if you would like one. Put it up in your business, in your home, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, any place where you see it regularly. Let's see, what is it? 3 weeks? No, 4 weeks from today. It's normally our fair day, where we have lunch at the fairgrounds, and then we have a chance to go to the fair. We're probably going to do it a little differently this year. We don't know exactly how it's going to work, but since we're kind of dealing with this kind of COVID situation and whether we want to be in that small room and whatnot, we may just have an opportunity for you to sign up next week for to get fair tickets at an advanced cost or a reduced cost, advanced price, and have an opportunity for it to be a Rotary Day out there, but we may not do a meeting per se that way. We're just trying to kind of pivot here. This might be a good opportunity to also point out that we're going to continue to do the meetings this way, which is to have the live meeting as long as fellow here to my right agrees to let us see in here. And pardon. Oh, it's the governor? Okay. I thought you had the ear of the governor. No, I guess not. As well as being able to call up. I know it's been very difficult, and I know a lot of you would prefer that everybody comes back together, and I would prefer everybody to be back there together. But I also am very sensitive to the fact that there are people who are concerned and don't want to be, much as they love us, they don't want us. What can I tell you? So Anyway, that's kind of the way it is. Betty Jo Murray, scholarship dinners.
Hello, everybody today. It's a sunny day. So I'm here standing in for Charlie Robin. I'm not quite as tall as him. Anyway, so it is September. Our weather's changing. The kids are back in school. It's Labor Day, so it's kind of in for summer. So it's time for our fall scholarship dinners. So if you've never participated in a scholarship dinner before, you've really missed out on love. And it's great food. It's just a great way for you to get to know your fellow Rotarians a little better, meet their spouse, or have a conversation. These meetings, we have time together, so this is a great way to do that. So, anyway, I'll talk about and there's a little bit of a secret. If you attend a dinner or not, you're going to pay $125, so you might as well just come and have dinner. Get something for that $125. So all of the money that's raised for our scholarship dinners goes to our academic and our vocational scholarships, our downtown Rotary scholarships. So it's not the Mary Monroe Davis, our downtown Rotary scholarships we do. Last year we gave out $85,300 in academic and vocational scholarships. So we got to help a lot of kids. So think about that when you're doing a great dinner. So now, if you're a little bit nervous about COVID, going to dinner, there are small groups, and we have an option of an outside dinner or an inside dinner. So when you're filling out this sheet, mark on there if you want to feel better about being outside, put that down. Make sure you get scheduled for an outside dinner. We also have an opportunity to visit our neighboring town of Ellensburg. Ellensburg has a beautiful historic home, and he's hosting a dinner. And if you want to put that one down, mark September 19th. That's on Sunday afternoon. If you want to go to that dinner, and you'll have some great connected experience. So on the table, we have these lovely sign-up sheets. So you want to pick up, you want to write your name, your email address, and then you put. If you want to be a host, we still have some room to host. You can mark that, and you can host dinner. If you just want to attend, you put down here how many people you would be bringing. And then if you want a specific date, you put it right there. Okay? So if you want to go to Ellensburg, put September 19th. If you want to be outside, make sure you put outside along with your date. Okay? So, I really encourage new members to sign up for dinners. It's a great way to get to know a little bit more about Rotary and the people that they have lunch with every Thursday. I know when I was a new member, I kind of shied away. Didn't think I wanted to go to a scholarship dinner. And then one day somebody called me and said, why don't you guys come to our house to have dinner? Well, I know those people. It's a great time. And so I've gone to several scholarship dinners since then, and I can guarantee you'll enjoy it. So it's only 2 weeks away, so don't hesitate. Don't wait. Make sure you sign up today if you haven't already, and leave this on the table and get it passed around so everybody has a chance to do so. Okay? So everybody's going to attend, right? So we have 100% attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty Jo. And Betty Jo will be followed by our next upcoming event. Well, he's not the event, but he'll talk about the event. Charlie Eglin.
Thank you, President John. So October 9th is this year's Operation Harvest. And there are sign-up sheets on your table and with a list of ways that you can participate. So please sign up for that. But I want to share with you what I started doing about 6 or 7 years ago. And I sent out letters to a few of my neighbors, asking them to make sure they have their food out by 9 a.m. or to send in a check. And the response was okay. So the next year, I sent the same letter out, and the response was better. Well, about 3 years ago, I now send out the same letter, giving them the date, what to do, and pleading for money rather than food. And I include a self-addressed stamped envelope. So every letter that I send out costs me $1.10, but the amount of money that we get back, and Carolyn can vouch for this, is now staggering. Last year I sent out 188 letters. This year I'm sending out, it'll be a few more than that, not quite 200, but anyway, I keep adding people to the list that live in my neighborhood, and I shame them as much as I can, and it just works out really well. So I encourage you to do that. You can send out 5 letters or 50 letters, whatever you're comfortable with. If you want me to send out letters to your neighbors, I'd be glad to do that. And anyway, if you have any questions, I can give you a copy of this or email it to you. So let me know if you need any help with that. And thank you, and sign up.
Thank you, Charlie. I think that's a great opportunity, and it's a pretty easy thing to do. Most of my neighbors talk to me, so I think it would probably be the same for you. And so feel free to do that. And I'm sure Charlie can help you with the wording, but it would be a great opportunity to help and get this underway. Remember, we are challenging Jennifer's all-time high last year, and we certainly don't want to fall down this year. Now, Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Bob Vickers. Bob.
Thank you. Welcome to September. And I have some trivia for you. Knowledge that I thought was subtitled Worthless Until It Ultimately Saved You 8 Bits. Harry, you know what 8 bits are, right? And Charlie Eglin, I'm sure you do. And by the way, I was thinking that, Craig, we used to trade stocks in bits, didn't we? That's when we used to quote a stock in 8s. We don't do that anymore. So, first off on the hit parade here is, next slide, what is the official birthstone and flower for September? Is it the Topaz Cosmos, Sapphire Aster, the Diamond Aster, or the Sapphire Poppy? Well, the answer is Sapphire Aster. Any flower specialists in here who are going to say, no, it's the morning glory? It is the other flower, but all I know is every summer I had to pull those. We called them weeds in our backyard. All right, next up. Which goddess did the ancient Greeks honor in September? Aphrodite, Artemis, Hera, Demeter. I see the dollars going up already. The answer is Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. As you can see, the 4-H kids went to town for the county fair and gave Demeter the respect she was due, I guess. Next up, the Beatles received a gold record for which single September 12th of 1966? Was it Don't Let Me Down, For No One, We Can Work It Out, or Yellow Submarine? Of course, they came to Kennedy Airport in 62, I think, landed, meet the Beatles then. So 4 years later, we had the answer, which is Yellow Submarine. How many people got that one? Just out of curiosity. All right. All right, well, this one I apologize for in advance, but it sort of sets the tone for the rest of this. In September, where did International Talk Like a Pirate Day originate? And I did not know this was a September thing, but apparently is. So A, Tortuga Island in the Caribbean, Arkansas. I know that's so bad. Port Royal, Jamaica, or Oregon. Who said that? No way. Well, that's correct, Oregon. Now, I have a theory that this came in rather handy during the riots and the plundering that went on about a year ago. I could just see them breaking into his house saying, "Arr, I'll take your TV and your dog." And it's right. And it's Oregon. All right. Well, who penned the line? This is the last one here. The breeze's taste of apple peel. Was it Mark Twain? Local favorite Raymond Carver? John Updike? Or Sin? The answer is John Updike. And now the question I have for you with my best warehouse theater voice ever, as a pirate, how many of you would like me to recite this poem? As a pirate. All of you pay $1. Arr, the breezes taste of apple peel. The air is full of smells to feel. Ripe fruit, old footballs, burning brush, new books, erasers, chalk and such. The bee his hive well honeyed hum, and mother cuts chrysanthemums. Like plates washed clean with suds, the days are polished. A morning are.
Oh, $2 left up here. Is that for me or the club? I assume it's the club. And I hope you got the Oregon white, Cooper. Oregon. All right. In that regard, the only Oregon booster in the room, John Cooper.
Thank you, President John. I am indeed honored to introduce our district governor. Richard DeRock has been the CEO of Link Transit for 19 years. That's the transit system up in Wenatchee. And during that time, Link Transit has increased its riders by 154%. And he pioneered battery electric buses plus wireless charging stations. Prior to Link Transit, he was executive director of Access Services in LA for 16 years, where he founded the countywide transportation program for people with disabilities. He is a past president of the Washington State Transit Association and the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. Richard's been a Rotarian for nearly 20 years, serving as the president of the Wenatchee North Club, sponsor and charter president of the Wenatchee Confluence Rotary Club, and served on the district youth exchange committee for more than 11 years, including 4 as their chair. He's a Paul Harris Society member, a Rotary Foundation beneficiary and benefactor. And due to COVID-19, this is his second year as our district governor for our district 5060, which serves, I think the count is still 57, that go all the way from Prosser to Clearwater, BC. Richard is a graduate of the University of California at Davis, UCD, with a degree in all things geology. UCD is also where he started his transit career with a student-run Unitrans system. He and his most wonderful wife, Robin, have been together for more than 30 years, have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. And they are truly a Rotarian family, where Robin's a member of the Wenatchee Sunrise Rotary Club and serves on the district youth exchange committee. Plus, both of their children were youth exchange students, and they've hosted many youth exchange students over the years. Now, for the past year, I've been serving as an assistant district governor for the 5 clubs in the Lower Valley. So I've gotten to know Robin and Richard really, really well. They have worked tirelessly, not only for the district, but the clubs within the district under really trying times. So that is why I'm very honored to introduce our district governor, Richard DeRock.
Well, thank you, and very pleased to be actually received you in person. So, computer screens, really pleased to do that. Because I did actually give a governor talk last year, I'm going to do a very short version of my history and then quickly go in sort of where we are with the district, with our priorities and some of the things that we're hoping to achieve a little different. So go back and who am I? Well, I was born in Germany. My father was a soldier. My mother swears I spoke nothing but German until I was 4 years old. I don't remember that, but that may be. My mother was a German and came to the United States when I was Western Nebraska originally, Northern California, Davis. My parents still live there. High school Davis, and then I went to University of California. Graduated degree in geology, and I never worked in geology. The year I graduated, 1983, was the year that the oil industry imploded. Oil fell to $7 a barrel. There were no jobs for geologists anywhere in North America. Wouldn't work in the oil industry, but there were no jobs for geologists, period. But I had taken a part-time job driving buses for the university bus system when I was a sophomore. Senior year, I was running the transit system, operations, and I was recruited by a private company to run transit systems in California. I got right out of college running small transit systems in Central Valley, eventually in the San Francisco Bay Area, San Jose and Sonoma Valley. And then I got transferred to Orange County, actually where I met Robin. She was a passenger who came in to complain one day. And also the story is I do great customer service. I married the complainers. Went to work in Los Angeles at the LA Metropolitan Transit Authority, where I had responsibility for clean air programs. So started the natural gas bus transportation program and a little bit of work on electric vehicles at that time, but I was also responsible for the elderly and disabled transportation program. And when the American Facilities Act passed, I was charged with creating an answer for that in LA County, which resulted in me putting together a regional solution over LA County, which created a new entity to serve 44 different transit agencies in Los Angeles and 105 cities that were in the area. I became the first director of that organization, ran that number of years. We lived in South Orange County. I worked in downtown LA. That's a 55-mile daily one-way commute, which meant that I was at a 4-hour on the road. Did that for 16 years. And while running Access was an amazing opportunity, I had at times 4,000 employees and lots and lots of responsibility. I could do nothing but go to city council meetings if I chose to, with 105 cities serving. Lots and lots of things, but I was not connected to any community. And that was something I really missed. I remember telling Robin one time after being stuck in traffic for 4.5 hours trying to get home that I was happiest when I was running smaller transits, that I really enjoyed that more, and I really wanted to find a place where we could have a better system. Several years later, the opportunity to move to Wenatchee came up. Francis was there, and Robin agreed to leave Los Angeles, the area where she was the only place she'd ever lived, and we moved to Wenatchee. Great decision. It's also where I joined Rotary. And it was a wonderful decision. I mean, it got me very connected to the community, very much a community place. Rotary sometimes not ideal, and I really struggled initially with my Rotary involvement because I wasn't sure what my role was with it. And it wasn't until they asked for a host for an exchange student. I'd gone home, asked Robin if we wanted to do that. She said, of course we did. Our 13-year-old daughter thought the 16-year-old Brazilian boy was a brilliant concept, and that got us deeply into exchange. And 17 exchange students later and 11 years on the committee, we ate and breathed Rotary. And that experience gave me a real sense of the world of Rotary. One of the things that is true when you're chair of the exchange committee is you're responsible for lots of kids, and these are teenagers, and they do stupid things, as all teenagers do. And when they do stupid things, you got to tell somebody, and that's the governor. And so you're in communications with the governor's team fairly frequently. And because of that, got to know what that job entails, at least to a degree, and it's something I was interested in. So okay, that seems like something in the future. 2016, decided to retire from the Exchange Committee. Now, not because I was tired of Exchange, it's still one of my passions. I still think the Youth Exchange is one of the best things we do in the Rotary. I think it really does build world peace one child at a time, and I'm committed to that as a future. But sometimes stepping back is a way to encourage that to go forward. Sometimes you have to step back, let other people shine and move forward with it. And having been on the committee for 11 years and been the leader for a number of years, it was time for other people to step forward and take that leadership role. Shortly after that, I was approached, put my name in as a candidate for district governor. And my immediate response was no. I'm working. I'm got at least 8 to 9 more years before I'm ready to retire. There's no way I could do this job as a governor before I retire. But I turned down the opportunity to be a club president because of the Youth Exchange role had taken so much of my time. I couldn't see how I could do both of those. Vern Nielsen, who was the governor at the time, who was twisting one arm, and Robin the other side twisting the other arm, both said, "No, you can make it happen." I said, "Well, I could probably figure that out at some point. So, I mean, yes, I would like to do this at some point, but you have to find a way to go forward. And you have to be a president before you can be governor." I had been president. And in the Wenatchee Club, who I was a member of, there's a 4-year leadership role to become president. And I wasn't going to push somebody out of the way. So I figured, okay, well, it's 4 years to be president of the Wenatchee Club. It's another 3 years before you become governor. That's 7 years, 8 years out. I'm planning to retire in 8 years. That works. Okay. I can say yes safely. So I said, sure, I would consider at that point. By the time we got back to Wenatchee from the trip we were on, there was a call waiting saying, would I consider taking the presidency of the Wenatchee North Rotary Club, whose vice president elected had a heart attack and couldn't serve the coming year. That was kind of a shock. I had not ever considered changing Rotary. That was not that ever been in my frame of reference. So I agreed to meet with them, mainly to see if I could help. And when I met with the club, they really did want someone to come in. They didn't have anyone who was willing to step up in the role of president at the time. And they were really struggling with a couple of issues. They just couldn't find answers. And so I agreed to step in, help them, which was an interesting concept to step into a club as the president. You really don't know much about them. Great. Had a whole new circle of friends, very different culture than the culture of the club I was in. Interesting experience because I ended up deciding to shut the club down. Not because the club was failing, but they hadn't filed taxes in 12 years and we couldn't figure out the finances. So we had to shut them down and start over, which is why we chartered a new club, which actually ended up being a great decision because of the 41 people who had been members of the North Club at the time we made that decision, 38 of them chose to join the new club, which meant they had to file initiation fees and actually go through an application process at Rotary International, which meant it was commitment. And they made a deep commitment. They actually all volunteered. I was able to fill every committee without any challenge at all because they stepped forward. I remember asking people, why are you volunteering now when you wouldn't 3 weeks ago? And they said, because we were at risk of losing something important to us. We didn't realize how important Rotary was until it was out there for us to lose it. And it really made a difference. The club grew really rapidly and has still been able to hold on doing really good things. That was a great experience. Of course, president, I got a phone call reminding me that I had said once I was a president, I put my name in for governor. And I was like, oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I? So I went back to my board of directors and asked if they would support me taking the role as governor. And they agreed that give me the time, we'd have the time to do the governorship while I was still working. So I did put my name in and was selected. That's an interesting issue, and it goes back to one of the things I want to talk about in our district. One of the things I've really learned in this year, a little over a year now, as being a governor of our district, and the 4.5 years I've been in this leadership role, is how lucky we are to be in this district. We have an incredibly strong district. We're trained in our governorship at what's known as a zone level, which is 42 districts. Our zone is all of Canada, a little bit of Washington, most of the northeast of the United States, some Bermuda for some. So pretty broad range. And of those 42 districts, we're number one in membership retention. We do a better job at holding members than almost anybody else. We're number two in foundation giving and have been probably for 10 or 12 years. We are number one in international projects, number one or two in youth exchange, have been in our zone for 20 solid years. Almost by any measure you would measure success, we're one or two, we're in number one or number two in almost anything you would look at. And if you look at intensity of Rotary, the total population of our district is the smallest of any of the districts. And there's some pretty rural districts. I mean, one of the districts in our area runs from suburban Toronto all the way up to the Arctic Circle. That's some pretty rural areas, but there's only about 1 million people that live in our district, and we have almost 2,400 Rotarians. It's more than 2,400 Rotarians in our district, which means per capita, we have more Rotarians than any other district in North America. We have a deeper commitment. We can get more done. And that's really impressive. It's great to be part of. One of the things we do in our leadership, and it's actually, I think, really allows us to go forward in an interesting way, is we operate as a team. And we've really taken this on the last couple of years. So our governor line is our immediate past governor, that's Peter Schultz, himself as governor. Currently, Carl Ruther, who's governor-elect, Marianne Lloyd, who's governor nominee, and Ford, who's now designee. Back that in a second. The five of us meet every week for about an hour on Fridays Zoom and do the work of the governor of the district. We've actually divided the work of the governor up among the five of us so that the governor doesn't have to take all the responsibilities on. And this was partially a decision to let the role of the governor be less intensive so that people who are working can do this job. And that's something that Rotary has been strongly encouraging districts to do, because they want people who are working and who are younger to be district governors. Not because we don't value experience, but in the Rotary world, you have to be a governor, you have been a president. To be a director, you've had to have been a governor. To be a director of the foundation, you've had to have been a director of Rotary and been a governor as well. To be a president, you have to have been all three of them. There's about 10 years between each of those steps. Right now, the average age of a governor in Rotary is 69. If there's 10 years between those steps and there's 3 more steps, that means you're 99 when you're president of Rotary. That's not a healthy place for our organization to be. So we're trying to shorten those time frames, and we're trying to get younger people to put their names forward as governors and make that job doable. Rotary has said, don't do club visits. That takes a lot of time. We've looked at it and said, no, club visits really are an important part, particularly in our district where our district is so large. And part of the reason we want to do club visits is one of the things the governor does is we make a lot of appointments. We actually have to appoint about 60 different people to committees and roles throughout the district. And how do you do that if you don't know them? The size of our district being 11 hours north to south, you don't get to know the people in the clubs around you unless you go out and involved in district events or club meetings. And that's actually a big part of the reason I'm actually serving as governor this year again. In January of this year, we were on one of our governor calls, and Jordana, who was governor-elect, came out and asked me if I'd be willing to serve a second year as governor. My initial response is, why the heck would I? And I didn't mean that as, why would I do that? But it's like, why would I take that from you? And she said, I know how important it was for you to get out and do club visits, you and Robin both. I know this is something you really wanted to do. Part of the reason you wanted to be a governor was you wanted to get out and get to meet people and see the clubs. But I was also wanted you to do that because she said, I didn't have that experience. I have not been around the clubs very much. You had a lot more district experience than I had. And I was intending to travel with some of you. And we had talked about doing that. She was going to come and do some trips with us and do the district events. Well, we haven't had any district events in 19 months. Haven't had any club visits. Rob and I got to do one last year. Got to go to East Wenatchee before we got shut down. And that, she said, I'm not going to be prepared to make the appointments as it is. I would prefer to step back, allow you to have a year where you can actually do the travel and give me more time to run the district. She's incredibly gracious of her. Then she went further and said, I also don't want to bump Carl out of his place in line or Maria Lane. They've already started making commitments. Carl was elected the leader of pets, and Maria Lane had been appointed to another position. If she bumped them down, they would have lost their roles. She said, I'll step to the back, which was incredibly generous. It means she'll be in the training line for 6 years before she goes. The other thing for her was that the venue she had hoped to do district conference in Chelan had gotten stopped construction, so we're finished this year. And she said, I'll have to do my conference in Wenatchee. I really wanted to do a conference in Chelan, so I'd rather wait. So we talked about that, approached RI. They initially said, well, we don't do 2-year governors, but so what the heck. And we went back and approached membership, and the membership did agree to allow us forward here. And again, very, very happy. And it is amazing how different of an experience it is to get out and talk to boards in person and meet clubs and just to get so much more out of the process. So I'm really enjoying our 25th visit. So what are we trying to achieve? So coming out of COVID, what are the big challenges? So obviously, hugest one is membership. COVID has been a big issue. We've lost about 170 members in our district over that period. Actually, less than I was expecting based on the impacts, but we need to keep our health up. That's a challenge going forward. Work on that. We need to create new avenues of participation. Now, one of the things COVID gave us was an experience with Zoom that's going to allow us to do things differently than we've done in the past. And particularly some of our training activities, some of our meeting activities can be done electronically now that we used to do in person. That has the potential to allow us to do things more efficiently in some ways. Doesn't mean we're going to replace every in-person meeting, because in person, we're a social organization. We need to see people face to face. It's really important for us to do that. But there are certain things that can be done this way, which will make us more efficient. And I think that's one of the avenues of participation we can do. Additionally, for a lot of our clubs, we have significant snowbird issues. People go away for the winter, go to Arizona, go to other places, and having Zoom links will keep those clubs more viable. I know particularly some of our smaller Canadian clubs are really looking forward to that as an option. And we need to make sure that Rotary is relevant in our communities. We do amazing things in communities, but in many cases, we're not recognized. And that goes to really what our biggest program. One of the things that we chose to do this year was we took advantage of, and I've always taken the attitude that don't let the good prices go to waste. When COVID hit, we couldn't travel. We actually spend a lot of money on travel and training in the district. That's a big part of what our district dues go to fund. When you figure the 11 assistant district governors, governor team, all the travel and training, that adds up to a lot of money. That's expensive. We didn't spend it last year. So the question was, what do you do with that? And half of Peter's year also not much. We looked at it and said, well, what would benefit the clubs most? Based on what we understood, membership's the biggest challenge clubs are facing. That's what we have heard back and forth. We hear as the biggest problem, membership is how do we get people in the venue? And taking advantage of what we've heard from Rotary, public image really is the biggest challenge. Our brand is really powerful. Rotary logo and the name is really well identified. And people have a warm feeling when they see it. But if you ask someone who's not been directly impacted by Rotary, doesn't know somebody in Rotary, what Rotary does, they can't tell you. And if you push them, they say, well, it's a bunch of old white men in hotel rooms smoking cigars. And if that was ever true, hasn't been true for a long time. At least not North America. So we need to change that vision of who we are, because we do things. We make huge investments in our community. And you do amazing things in Yakima. I mean, scale of what you do here is truly impressive. And you do a better job at branding than some people do. But in many communities, it just isn't recognized. So we need to change that environment. We went out and solicited a public image firm to help us do the branding issue. We actually hired a member of your club. It's a firm here that field group to do a public image campaign for the district. It's called People with Purpose. And we identified that we needed to change how we communicate. Most of our clubs use Club Runner for their communication efforts. Club Runner has lots of power. It's a great database. It has awful mobile presence. It is not mobile friendly. People under 40, they communicate by phone. They don't use computers. If you open a Club Runner webpage on a phone, it's a jumble. And if you're asking someone under the age of 40 to join a club, they're going to look at our webpages. And they're going to get really messaged because it's just confused. So we asked them to redefine front page for the system. We have to use Club Runner for our data. We have to use it for management. So we've had them develop a district front page and then a template that clubs can use to also redo their front page, make it mobile friendly, make it much more active, make it much more focused on future. People for Purpose campaign. If you go to our district website, Rotary5060.org, you'll see what that looks like. It's a much nicer look. It's much cleaner and focused. And that's the message we're trying to get out. Try to make it easier, get people to take a look at us. And then it's the club's job, once you bring someone in, to convert them to members. Because what we deliver as clubs, we provide the community, is what younger people say they want. They want networking. They want diverse age and cultural experiences. They want the service role that we do. They say those are all important things to them. So I think if we can get them involved with us, we can do membership. We can grow Rotary in really positive ways. We need to get through that initial barrier. That's what this campaign is all about. And to a great benefit, this program allowed us to happen. Let's push that and see if we can help clubs build their membership. That's really what our effort is about, taking that and do the tools. With that, happy to answer any questions. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Also appreciate, of course, the hiring of a member of our club to do that campaign. This year, every speaker, we are giving a book in their name to one of the two community centers here, books for teens and young teens and whatnot on things to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. This one is on Can We Help? Kids volunteering to help their communities, which kind of falls right along with your youth exchange program. It was also one of the books that was recommended in the Rotary magazine for us. So that will be the book for this week. So appreciate that very much. Next week, we will be hearing from Dr. David Maloney and Dr. Tom Boyd on the Bezos Family Immunotherapy Clinic, followed by the one next week, which I've been involved quite a bit with, which is W.D. Frank, who's been working on a book which is now in beginning stages of publication. I believe the University of Mississippi or Alabama, I'm not sure which one. It's on Of Women, Men, and Mountains, Kay Kershaw, Isabel Lynn, and the Double K Mountain Ranch, which should be pretty fascinating because they were major figures and how they fit in with our local son, William O. Douglas. And before we totally adjourn, Carolyn's got something to show you. But before I do that, I thought I'd point out to you, Richard, that Yakima has one of the oldest transportation systems in the state, the Yakima Valley Transportation Company, which was actually founded by a group of individuals here in 1906, and is still runs part of the time. It is still the oldest interurban line. Used to run all the way out into the West Valley. It was established originally to bring fruit into the warehouses. And then, of course, it did the transportation system as well. But just for a couple chuckles before we leave, Carolyn has these little billboards that I think are typical of getting a little fun in the area. This one is particularly, I'm sure you can get that. We'll see how sharp you are. Rob, you should be collecting. You want to become a werewolf? So next. These are really groaners, but that's all right. We can use little groaners. Next, that one I like. And I believe there's one more. Yeah, I told you they were terrible, but yeah, what can you expect when I'm up here? So anyway, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.